This is just a real quick update in regards to the Bentley neck that I mentioned in my previous video. And the issue with this neck was the intonation ran very, very sharp the higher up you went, particularly in the palm keys. And it was weird because you started playing E flat up to high F. The notes started running into each other. They were almost indistinguishable from each other. And after talking to a few techs, it turns out that the issue was the hole in the actual octave pip, which you could see right there, was drilled too large, and that's actually what caused the problem. And the solution to fixing that came from something as simple as this. Just a straw that you would have on a spray bottle for oil, lubricant. Pretty simple fix. I just stuck that in there and cut off what I needed and sanded it down, made it flush, and basically just did that to cut down the circumference of the actual hole. And when I did that, the problem was solved. So the intonation was locked in, and actually hearing this Bentley neck for what it is, it's actually a very, very, very close copy to a Yanagasawa 901 tenor neck. It's darker than my Super Action 80 neck, certainly darker than the Series 3 neck that I have. And it's, I mean, you just have to play a 901 to actually understand what I'm talking about, but it's just a very fluid, dark sounding neck. So this one is once again usable, and maybe something that I'm using on my SA80 from time to time on actual gigging situations. Certainly looks good and fits the tenon pretty tightly too, so no adjustments to my saxophone have to be made. But if you have an issue in which your palm keys are running sharp, take a look at that area of the neck, just the hole. Trying to get that to focus there. And still trying to get it to focus. But basically just take a look at that and compare it to any other saxophone necks that you have laying around and see if it's larger. And this one is probably about a third larger than both my Selmer necks. And that was a telltale sign. And how you can test to see if this is the issue is just spread a little cork grease in that hole, just to take a little bit of that volume out of the hole itself, and of course make sure that it's not sticking to the pad and the pad's opening up properly so you can get the proper octave check. But if that does correct the intonation issues, there's your issue right there. And just the straw is a very basic, easy solution. And once again, I didn't use any type of adhesive or anything. The way the straw fit in, it was just a perfect snug fit, and I just cut it off with an X-Acto knife and then sanded it down. Now the only issue that I have with that, the hole was actually slightly too small. So what I did with that, I took the octave key off and threw a sewing needle in there, and just basically took the sewing needle and rounded it out to open up the circumference just a hair. And if the hole is too small, you'll notice that your octaves won't be jumping up and won't be as responsive as they should be. So that's a very quick fix, very simple thing to do. So just put a sewing needle in there. It may take one or two because one sewing needle I had just snapped off. But that's about it. And like I said before, this issue occurs with Chinese tenors, and I noticed it with 700 series Jupiters from about 15 years ago too, and that was consistent across their board. The 800 series onward, they had very locked in intonation, so that wasn't an issue. But the 600 and 700 series horns had a tendency to be a little sharp in the upper register. So if I were to take a guess, it would be with the neck and the size of that octave pip. So hopefully you find that helpful and informative. If you have any questions, send me a text.